After two rough offensive showings on Friday and Saturday, the Rangers offense just needed to be better. And on Sunday, they solved that need with the need for speed.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way we can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into this offense exploding with speed on the base pass, a stern talking to by Bruce Bochy, and once again, some reinforcements already arriving and more on the way. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Now, this was a rough overall offensive weekend for the Rangers, able to just crack 2 runs and 1 run in the first 2 games of this series, and an offense that just looked absolutely lifeless and has looked honestly pretty lifeless for the better part of a month. The Rangers were able to put together quite an offensive outburst in Oakland, and one really big offensive outburst in Kansas City. But since the end of that road trip, since that just absolutely bizarre series against the Rockies, where the Rangers got swept and just could not hit for diddly squat in the most hitter-friendly environment in the major leagues, this offense has just not been able to score in droves the way that they expect to score. And there's been something missing from this offense, not just Josh Young, not just Evan Carter for the last few weeks and maybe for another 3 or even 4 weeks, but it's been the speed that has been missing. It's something that this team didn't really do much of last year. It's something that Bruce Bochy teams haven't really done a whole lot of in the past, but just being aggressive on the base paths with these new rules, with so many incredibly fast players on this roster, a team not taking advantage of their speed to force things on the base paths, to force pitchers to think about base runners and stolen bases and things like that, to just force something. Force the issue on the bases. It felt irresponsible with a team that was struggling so much offensively. You got to try something. Try something new. And this Rangers offense on Sunday, after they got a pretty stern talking to by Bruce Bochy, I don't know exactly what was said, but for Bruce Bochy to have a team conversation, he is the most even-keeled manager maybe in the history of baseball. A guy who never gets too high or too low. I don't believe had any little team talks with this squad last year, despite the incredible highs and lows, even in the month of August alone, and September, and not to mention a miserable Game 5 loss in the ALCS, where the team just bounced back and said, nope, we're good. But Bruce Bochy felt the need to have a talk with his team, with the offense, say, hey, we're better than this. We need to be better than this. We can't afford to not be better than this, because the pitching has been downright fantastic for the last months. Heck, most of this season, the pitching has been excellent, but the offense just has not been up to par. And this Rangers team, they got real aggressive real quick in the first inning. With 3 stolen bases in the first inning alone was something that just absolutely floored me. Not to mention what floored the Rangers was hitting getting hit in the head with the first pitch of the game. Marcus Semien, no intent there by Keaton Winn, but definitely a scary moment, taking a pitch off the helmet, and Marcus Semien got right back up and said, all right, you're going to do that to me? I'm going to go ahead and steal this base. And then the Rangers worked some really good at-bats to get the bases loaded with no outs, and it seemed like there might be an offensive drought that would consume this team. To waste a chance like that without coming out with any runs, which it looked like the Rangers might just do, it would have been absolutely devastating to not score any runs with the bases loaded and no outs in the first inning with a team that has struggled so much offensively. But Wyatt Langford, in what I might consider to be the best at-bat of his year, there have been some incredible at-bats, some incredible plate appearances, and some really nice base running moments as well. Balls that he's hit incredibly hard and deep counts that he's worked. But his at-bat in the first inning just showed me something about Wyatt Langford that I have been waiting to see for him. He has been a very patient hitter throughout his entire career, his short major league career, but he has not been as aggressive at times, selectively aggressive, the Corey Seager measure of aggressiveness, of when you see a mistake pitch or you want to jump on something first pitch, you go for it and you take advantage. And that's usually where Corey Seager does a lot of his damage, and where a decent chunk of these Rangers do their damage, is sitting on some first pitch fastball. A pitcher says, all right, let me throw a get-me-over fastball or whatever it is, whatever you're looking for on that first pitch to just get ahead in the count. And instead of taking it, you do some damage with it. And that's what Wyatt Langford did in that first plate appearance against Keaton Winn. A fastball, sinker, 95 miles an hour, up and in on that corner. But he saw it, he knew it was coming, and he just drove that thing right through the middle of the box to score the first couple runs of the game, including getting Adolis Garcia to third base. And then he stays aggressive, and he steals his second career base with runners on the corners and 2 outs. And Adolis Garcia, with some brilliant heads-up base running, reads the catcher as soon as he makes that throw to second base to try and get Wyatt Langford out. He breaks for home plate, steals home, the first player to steal home plate since, I believe, 2021, when Adolis Garcia did it as well. But the Rangers get a third run in that first inning, which would end up being all they needed. But they continue to be aggressive later on in this game, also getting another stolen base by Travis Jankowski. Just seeing this team be aggressive on the bases, use all of their skills, which speed is something that this team has in droves. The fact that Marcus Semien only stole his second base of the season in this one kind of shows me, I know that he doesn't want to steal too many bases ahead of Corey Seager and turn himself into a free out. And the fact that they did this on a guy who has been, since he came into the league, one of the best, if not the best, throwing catcher in Major League Baseball, in Patrick Bailey. I mean, the dude has an absolute bazooka for an arm. But it doesn't really matter how good your bazooka arm is as a catcher if your pitcher is not properly holding runners, if he is too slow to the plate. And that's what Keaton Winn was. And so the Rangers saw that and they said, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to go for it. We are going to attack this guy, and we are going to steal bases at our whims. And we are going to keep doing it. And then the Rangers got some more offense late on. They did not just settle for those 3 runs in the first. They also drove in a couple of runs in the second, a 2-run homer by Marcus Semien off of Mr. Wynn. And just seeing this offense pile on and keep on going, and a couple more runs in the 5th inning to make it comfortable, a 5-run lead, which the Rangers, that's all they would need to finish this one out, because they got some outstanding pitching from Nate Eovaldi, some great pitching from Leclerc and from Yates. And they sealed this one out and head into LA with 1 win and an offense that looks much, much better. Just being this aggressive on the base paths, being able to, take advantage of a pitcher that is being slow to the plate, even with the best throwing catcher in the league. You got to try something. When your offense is not getting these big hits, when your offense isn't slugging, which they were able to get some big hits in this one. It wasn't just running wild on the bases. They went 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position, a couple RBIs by Ezekiel Duran, who has been doing much, much better as of late. A multi-hit game for Wyatt Langford, including a triple, his third triple of the season. Still just 3 triples and only 1 home run. Still hasn't hit one over the fence just yet, but I think he will. He is turning things on. He has had now 4 multi-hit games since being activated off the IL. He has been having much better plate appearances, being more aggressive at the right times, exactly what you want to see from this young rookie who, again, is still a 22-year-old with about 300 or so plate appearances in the minor leagues before he got called up. Now he crushed every single level, proved everything that he could at the minor leagues, but still, he is still very young. And offense around the league is down, and eventually it takes time for rookies to come onto the scene and adjust to Major League Baseball. Not everybody's going to be Evan Carter, where their first 2-month span of Major League Baseball, they just hit absolutely everything and lead their team to a World Series championship. That's not the norm. That's why it was so impressive what Evan Carter was doing last year. But this offense is starting to figure some things out, and they might be getting some reinforcements back, like the pitching that got one of their key starters back this weekend. Come up to talk about that, and Max Scherzer making his second rehab start of the year, his first rehab start. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts and from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. If you want to look at World Series odds right now, if you're feeling really confident about the Rangers coming back, this being the start of some kind of massive tear, this is some great time to get in on the odds on the Rangers going back-to-back World Series champs. Right now, they are plus 3,200, the, 14th best odds in Major League Baseball, behind teams such as the Mariners, the Astros, the Guardians, the Brewers, as well as the Twins. This is if you're feeling very, very optimistic about those Rangers doing things like that, or if you want to look at the NBA Finals right now, heading into Game 2. This will be different as you're listening to this, but heading into Game 2, the Mavericks are plus 330 to win the NBA Finals after dropping that rough Game 1. So go check out all the action at FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Now, this Rangers offense needed the big day that they had on Sunday because the first 2 games of the series were just incredibly rough. Not just losing to the Giants, who are banged up. They're a good team that's banged up and has a lot of hitters that are on the shelf, and even more so than the Rangers have pitchers on the shelf. I mean, they have just been absolutely decimated by injuries, not only to Blake Snell, but to their big star center fielder who they signed as well. I mean, they just had a lot of injuries as well, and it makes sense that they shut this Rangers offense down because it hasn't really taken all that much. But I think the most painful loss of this weekend was by far Saturday, when the Rangers were about 2 feet from tying the game on a foul ball from Leody Taveras. With runners at second and third, Leody Taveras hits a ball that's going down the line just 2 feet to the right of the foul line on the first base side, and then he ends up flying out to end the game. Would have been a game-tying maybe double, maybe even a triple. Who knows what it ended up, but it didn't really matter because the Rangers were not able to put those runs away. But they have been getting some good contributions from guys lower down in their lineup, including Ezekiel Duran, who not only offensively has he been absolutely crushing it, but defensively, I mean, some of the throws this guy has made over the last couple of days, they're just absolutely sensational throws. Right? To say that this guy has a bazooka for an arm, it feels like it's underselling it. It feels like it is absolutely underselling what Ezekiel Duran can do, not only defensively but offensively, coming through with a couple of RBIs in this game, an RBI and a multi-hit game in the first game of this series, and just some absolutely nuclear level throws from this young man who's played great defense wherever he's been asked to play it. First base, shortstop, third base, even the occasional second base. The guy has been an incredibly valuable platoon player for the Rangers for 2 years now. And that's something that should not go under the radar and should not go unnoticed. But the pitching in this game, in this whole series, has been mostly fine, outside of just a really rough outing for David Robertson that ended up losing the Rangers the game against the Giants, and just he clearly did not have it. But the rest of this pitching staff has been solid. A great outing from Jonathan Hernandez in that same game. Not the best start for Michael Lorenzen, who did only allow a couple of runs in his outing, but didn't quite go 5 innings. But the Rangers also got some reinforcements back from the injured list. John Gray coming back to this team and coming back as a reliever at first. When he came back on Saturday, the thought was, okay, well, why are the Rangers activating him now when he's not going to start this game? It's going to be Andrew Heaney. Well, Bruce Bochy said that he was going to be available out of the pen, and so far as a Texas Ranger out of the pen, John Gray has been just downright unhittable. Decent outing for Andrew Heaney, 5 2/3 innings, just 3 runs, all of them earned for him in those 5 2/3 innings. But in comes John Gray, 2 1/3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, just downright disgusting out of the pen for John Gray. He has stepped up in every single conceivable way for this team this year, and he is penciled in to start on Wednesday. He is not going to be the starter who is shoved into the bullpen. I was a little surprised that his first inning outing back was going to be out of the bullpen, but hey, give him a little bit of length, give him some days off, get him worked back since he wasn't doing a rehab stint. It's good to see him just back on this team in general, because every arm that you add back is another guy who you weren't expecting to have to step up and play a role for this team, that can be sent back down to AAA or DFA'd or what have you, because this starting staff is deep once it finally gets healthy, and it is getting healthier by the day, with Nathan Eovaldi finally back up to his full pitch count limits. Only 90 pitches for him in this one. 7 innings, just 2 runs allowed, 5 strikeouts. The guy was just downright nasty. Big game Nate on the hill when this team needs a good start from one of their stars. Not only a good start, but a lengthy start as well. He is there always for this team, stepping up in a big way. When the Rangers feel like they need a win most badly, they always seem to end up with Nate Eovaldi on the hill. And by God, he's been everything they could have hoped for since they signed him. I mean, not only that postseason run, but in the regular season as well. All of last year, whenever he was healthy, he was just absolutely nails. In those first couple of months of the season, especially right after Jacob deGrom went down, he was just absolutely nails in the coffin. When the Rangers bullpen was at its absolute worst, he was giving this team consistently 8 innings, 8 2/3 innings, complete games. He was just pitching so deep into games, pitching to contact. It seemed like he was adjusting how he was attacking hitters so that he could, get outs earlier in counts and go deeper into games, because the Rangers desperately needed that. And when the Rangers just desperately needed a win, here he comes, 7 innings of 2-run ball. That will get you a win almost every time. I mean, it hasn't been the case for this Rangers offense for the last couple of weeks, that being good enough to get the win. But hey, today it was. today they jumped out to that early lead. Today they were able to muster up some offense, and seeing them respond to a Bruce Bochy team meeting kind of shows you the resilience of this team. Something that we've known about this team for years. Something that they showed in just incredible amounts last year. Responding from the rough back half of August, the rough start to September, the rough 3-game-in-a-row losing streak at home in the ALCS to your biggest rival, a team that has been there and done that a million times, and the Rangers were a team that had not been there, had not done that barely any times. Responding like that in Game 7, 6, and 7 in the ALCS in Houston. I mean, it shows you the mental toughness of this team. And this team has been kicked. They have been down. They have been rough. They've been straight up not great this year. And they know that. And they know they can be better, and they know they need to be, and hopefully will be better. And an outing like this, they're going to need to build on it, and it's going to be a tough sledding for the next week. This is going to be a crucial week for this Rangers team with 3 games in LA against the Dodgers, one of, if not the best teams in baseball, and then 3 games in Seattle against the Mariners, a team that you were chasing desperately to try and make up some ground in the AL West. This is going to be a good team, good indicator of knowing if this team is really going to make a run again this year, or if, once again, the World Series hangover is going to sink a Bruce Bochy squad. Coming up, we'll talk about some more reinforcements coming off the IL and some very, very positive updates on my large adult son, Josh Young, right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Are you struggling to close deals? B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn's Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. Now, a big part of why this Rangers offense struggled this weekend is, well, when you don't have one of the best hitters on earth, it tends to make your offense a whole lot worse. And the Rangers have been without Corey Seager since he left that game on Wednesday with left hamstring tightness, is what they were calling it. They said it wasn't too big of an issue, wasn't too worrisome. They weren't even going to get an MRI on Corey. They said he's going to take the off day on Thursday, see where he feels on Friday. Maybe he needs a day, maybe he needs a couple days. And now he has needed, 4 days. He'll have an off day heading into the trip to LA. The first time he will ever face the Dodgers in LA as an opposing player. And hopefully he will be ready for that and fully healthy and his full Corey Seager self, because the Rangers are going to need that bat against the Dodgers, who have been one of the best teams in baseball for a long, long time. They've won a championship with Corey Seager as their World Series MVP, and I'm sure he is sure to get a rousing ovation whenever he returns. Maybe a few boos, because that's just what baseball fans are like. But I'm sure mostly a hearty welcome. This Rangers team needs him back in the lineup. The reporting was that he was going to be available as a pinch hitter late on Saturday, but that ended up not being the case. He was not used as a pinch hitter late on Saturday, was not used as a pinch hitter at all on Sunday, partially because the Rangers didn't really need him to. So hopefully this can continue to not be a big issue, something they are not worried about, that does not turn into a hamstring strain, which he had last year that made him miss about 6 weeks of the season. That would be just devastating for this team and this offense that is looking for any kind of spark. Seager has been just an absolute lifeline for them, with so much of this offense just going incredibly cold and just bad for most of the month of May and now quite a bit in early June. But Corey Seager isn't the only left side of the infield all-star that has not been playing this weekend. There also is Josh Jung, who has made some big strides. He has been swinging a lighter bat, and as of Tuesday, it will be 10 weeks post-surgery. That will be around the time where the Rangers will have a big benchmark on him. The expectation is that the return time would be somewhere around the 12-week mark. So the Rangers are going to reevaluate him at some point today. He said the swing has been feeling a lot more natural. He has already been fielding ground balls and taking some swings with a lighter bat, not full swing, not fully 100% cleared to start the rehab. But I think sometime this week is when we could see Josh Jung start his rehab assignment. He has been making some great progress. He is a crucial bat in this lineup, not only just for the depth of this lineup, but for hitting lefties, something most of this offense hasn't been able to do. Josh Jung has been absolutely sensational at it, and the Rangers need every bat they can get back in this lineup. It will force a difficult decision of where Josh Smith is going to play. It's not a question of, is Josh Smith going to keep playing when Josh Jung gets back in this lineup? That is no longer a question. Josh Smith has been the Rangers' second best hitter all season long. The question is just, where is Josh Smith going to play? I think the obvious choice is probably to put him in left field, keep Wyatt Langford as the DH, and then if and when Evan Carter gets back and fully healthy, you start to make some decisions on that, of how often Evan Carter is going to be playing. Maybe Evan Carter takes some time in AAA to build himself back up. Maybe he has a lengthy rehab assignment there that is also just him getting his confidence back and feeling his full Evan Carter self before he is called back up to be an everyday player. Or maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe Josh Smith plays a little bit at first base if Nathaniel Lowe isn't able to regain that power form that we have seen from him in years past. Not entirely sure, but the Rangers will need both Joshes at their full Joshy self to help spark this offense that has been pretty not great for the majority of this season. But someone who was great on Sunday, that is Max Scherzer. His second attempt at a first rehab outing. He had a rehab start earlier this year where he just did not bounce back the way he anticipated. There were some issues with the thumb and some nerve issues. He has had some Botox injections. He is back on the hill on Sunday for the Round Rock Express against the Oklahoma City Baseball Club. Yes, that is what they're called. They are changing their name to something else next year, but for now, they are the equivalent of the Washington football team from all those years ago. But they were absolutely shut down by Max Scherzer. A great first rehab start. 4 innings pitched, just 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts in 53 pitches thrown. 37 of those were for strikes. Just great to see him back on the hill and absolutely shoving. I'm assuming it'll be around 3 rehab starts like it was last time. Maybe he just makes 2 rehab starts and then comes back and is on a lower pitch count of around 80 pitches in his first start back. I'm not entirely sure. There's not a huge rush to just get him up to the major leagues as soon as possible because the starting rotation has been so good without him. But just seeing Max Scherzer back on the hill, hopefully he still feels great with all of this thumb and nerve issues. That's some scary stuff for sure. Just making sure that he is healthy and ready to go. I think he could be a big part of this team this season. It's been a bummer that he hasn't been already back on the hill, back in a major league uniform just yet. But him making sure that he is getting himself fully right so there aren't any setbacks when he does come up for the first time this year, make his season debut, and help this club in a big way like I still think he can. The Rangers also got a good outing from Brock Burke in this one. Also pitched against the Oklahoma City Baseball Club. 1 inning, 0 hits, 1 walk, a couple of strikeouts. Brock Burke still dealing with rehab from that broken hand punching a wall after maybe it was a cooler? I think it was just a wall, though. In one of the weirder injuries the Rangers have had this year that just kind of flew under the radar because Burke just had not been great this year. adding another lefty arm to the pen would be very, very helpful, especially if he is, effective like he has been in years past. That is the goal. That is the hope. But it has been a rough major league season for him. But in the minors so far, he has made 9 appearances so far. He has pitched in a couple of games for the Rookie League, but he's now pitched in 7 games for Round Rock. He has pitched in 9 innings, 3 earned runs in that span, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Solid work in those 9 innings. I don't know exactly when Brock Burke's timetable is. There hasn't been a whole lot of talk about when exactly Brock Burke is going to come back, but looking at where the pitching staff is right now, I mean, the roster is solid. There's only really 2 guys that are on this Major League roster that I didn't really anticipate playing a big role for the Rangers for the most part this season, and that's Grant Anderson, who has been mostly really solid. He's had a couple of rough outings, but overall he has been very useful, very helpful bullpen arm, sort of the B-side of this bullpen, able to occasionally give you multiple innings. That has been extremely valuable. And also Jesus Tinoco, who is not somebody that I anticipated playing a big role in the bullpen this season, but again, he has had some helpful outings, some not great ones, but Jonathan Hernandez, as of late, has looked really, really nasty. He has not been walking the entire world, which has been the entire problem with him the last couple of years, but the stuff has always been there. It has looked nasty. Leclerc has looked pretty nasty as of late. And if you start to add these other starting pitchers back to the rotation, and you start to put some of these guys who have been great in the rotation in the bullpen, in Heaney, maybe Lorenzen as well. I mean, maybe Dunning, who knows at this point. But just getting this depth back, every single arm, every single bat, every single player that comes back from injury, which, by the way, Josh Spores, another guy who could slot back into this back end of the bullpen that could be just incredibly nasty if they add him back. And then you're going to have some really tough decisions. But it's nice to have these options. It's really nice that the guys who have been there, who have been grinding it out in the rotation while there have been just an unmitigated disastrous slew of injuries, that it hasn't sunk this team. It has mainly just been the offense, not being the offense that we expected, that has gotten this team into trouble. But hey, this team is still clawing around 500. They're still not completely out of it, still not doing exactly what they would hope, but this is going to be a big test this week against a couple of great opponents, and getting their bats fired up by the stolen base, hopefully something they will continue to do moving forward, is definitely an encouraging sign for this team. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.